What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. You're here with your girl Alessia, also known as Alediandra on Instagram. Guys, as usual, I'm going to be posting videos every week, so don't forget to click that beautiful red square button in the corner, subscribe. Today I decided to talk about getting a rhinoplasty, or as some would say, a nose job. Now, that is something I wanted to get done for a long time. I would say when I was a kid, I wanted it, and as I grew up, I think noses and ears are the two things that keep growing. So it just became more prominent on my face, and it felt like it was getting bigger and bigger, and it was really something that bothered me. You know, a lot of people will have a lot to say about any surgeries, and I just want you to know that if there's ever something that really bothers you and it keeps you up at night, or it's something you're constantly thinking about, then fuck what everyone says and do what makes you happy. And that was one thing for me. My parents were not for it at all. They were like, your nose is beautiful the way it is, like that's how you were born, like that should be the nose you have. And I just had like a completely different view on it, and my parents will still to this day never understand, because it's something that I had to live with and something I felt. So I was like, I'm gonna take the initiative to save up my money and finally get myself the nose job I always wanted. And I can tell you that I have never regretted a surgery less in my life. I've never been happier and more confident. So if something's gonna make you more confident, then do it. Your happiness is like the most important thing. Do I think that people can overdo it and do a million things and, you know, get out of control? Absolutely. But if there is something that's bothering you, I definitely think that if there's a way to fix it and you can, then why the hell not? You know, we're on this earth for a certain amount of time, and we want to be as confident as we can. And if it's something that's going to bring up our confidence, then go for it. So I had got my nose done about, I feel like as time's going, I'm like, this is my nose. Like, I didn't get a nose job, but I did it about 4 years ago, and like I was saying, best decision of my life. At the time, I believe I paid $5,500, and I went to a doctor in Montreal named Dr. Schwarz. So I'll link that all below. It's very important before getting your nose done that you make sure to visit a lot of doctors and go to a couple of consultations. And this was the doctor I really felt the most comfortable with. So that's why I chose him, and he's also done like a couple of my friends in the past, and I liked his work. So I was like, why the hell not? I'll just go to him. And it was Montreal. It was easy for me. Now there's many other doctors that are super good. I know my friend went to a doctor in Toronto. I will link it down below for you guys as well. He is amazing. He did a great job. And I think that over time, nose jobs did become more and more expensive. I think when my friend did it, it was like $4,000, and my other friend did it was $4,500. Like, it was going up in increments of like $600, kind of like a Chanel bag. Like, it was just going up and up and up, and we were like, wait a minute. So I had done my consultation, but at that point on, I didn't even have all the money to do it. But I thought if I did my consultation and they gave me the price of what it would be, then at least I would lock in that price, so that even if after the years the price would be going up, then that was the locked in confirmed amount for me. So I had done it, and then even if I didn't do the surgery right after, well, I had got my price. So yeah, from when my friend did it to when I did it, the price went up maybe $1,500. So I feel like now they're at about $10,000, maybe even more. But my same doctor is no longer the same price. I know a lot of people have like DM'd me in the past and were like, well, can you do like loans? Like, how does it work if you can't afford to pay for it all at once? I do believe there is a program that they do that's like linked with the doctor, where you kind of get a loan and then you pay the doctor in full, but you're paying that loan off to the company they work with, like the third party. So you can definitely do that as well. But from, you know, experience, probably save up more than half at least, so that you're not like trying to catch up, or try and save it all if you can. On a man, I feel a character nose is like nice. You look at a guy with a bigger nose and it's not as bad, I would say. I feel like for a woman, we're just like more feminine. Before I get my nose job, I felt like I had my dad nose. It was very like Italian bulb, And there's a couple of different nose styles you could have. I'll probably put up, there's like a graph. And in this procedure, there's 2 ways you can go about it. You can get sedated, which is what I did, or you can go under, so that's anesthesia. So sedated means they just, like, you're still awake for the surgery, which for a lot of people, they might be creeped the hell out. So you're awake, you're just completely not responsive. Like, you know what's happening, like you feel them knocking on your nose, but you don't actually feel anything, or it's not scary at all. But I know that some people, that would freak them out, and which is why they do anesthesia. Now, anesthesia has like different risks, and I've heard of like rare cases where you go under anesthesia and you have to have like a doctor there as well. So the price of getting a nose job for that is like completely different. It's way more expensive. I'm gonna get sedated because I can't afford that anesthesia. And I feel like I'm not really like a scared person for surgeries or anything, so I wasn't tripping out. If you do decide to go the route of anesthesia, then you need to have a doctor there who's kind of checking your heart rate. I went the way of just getting sedated, and when I look back to my surgery, I do remember me like being awake and then being like, Alessia, close your eyes, and then like I would just open them, but like they were knocking on my nose, and it was a crazy experience. But it didn't hurt, I didn't feel anything. I was just kind of like in La La Land, and then like there were times I just knocked out and then I'd wake up. But the procedure for my nose, like the actual surgery, was about 45 minutes, which is not long if you think about it. You're paying all this money and you're like, what? You're doing it in 45 minutes? What do you mean? When I did get my nose done though, I was so unhappy with my nose that I knew that whatever results I would get, I'd be way happier regardless. There's only so much that can be done to your own body, to your own, like, at the end of the day, the doctors are working with what you have. You can't go in there and ask for something that is unachievable. And if that's the case, then you should probably think about getting a surgery, because I feel like if you're striving for like that perfect nose and that to look exactly like your friend or that picture you saw, then not a good way to go into surgery. I think the best thing for me was that I was so unhappy that anything I got, I was happy with. And I know in this world, like we're on social media, we see a perfect nose, we want perfection, and it's normal. It's the world we're living in. It's just what it is. And I think I've learned to accept that my nose isn't exactly what I wanted, but if I compare it to what I had, I'm super grateful and super happy with it. Now let's pop on pictures. So a lot of people are worried about the surgery. Does it hurt? And I have to say, the surgery itself is like not bad at all. I think the scariest thing is when you see pictures of people who get nose jobs, you're like, whoa, their face is like bruised up, banged up, like did they just get a beating? And I think it always looks worse than it is. And the worst part for me was that I had like tubes up my nose, which meant I had to breathe through my mouth. But I only kept those tubes in my nose for like 4 days, and then the doctor removed them. But I was pretty good. I think the hardest part is like sleeping. You know, you don't want to sleep on your side because you're bleeding a little bit. So you kind of have to like sleep straight, which is something I have a hard time doing. But over the days it got easier, and I was definitely so excited to get the tubes out of my nose, because you can't breathe as well. But I wouldn't be dramatic and say it was like an experience I could not handle. The bruising didn't hurt. The surgery itself, like when you get out of it, anesthesia wise, or if you get sedated, it doesn't hurt. Your nose isn't hurting. It's not like when I hear people who get boob jobs and they're like, I'm like in so much pain, I thought I was gonna die. Like, the procedure looks worse than it is. It's actually a walk in the park, or at least it was for me. And I also chose this doctor because he was super keen on doing something supernatural, and he said that if there were ever something I want to revisit and fix afterwards, I can undergo surgery again, and that was included in the cost, which I also like. You like a doctor who wants to follow up, who wants to make sure you're happy and can do everything in their power to leave and you're satisfied. And I had left there and he did a supernatural job. I'm gonna show you my nose from different angles, but I think that I definitely had like a little bit of a hook nose, and I also had a deviated septum. So deviated septum means like you just have a hard time breathing from one nostril. And I do believe that when I got my nose job, he like aligned my nose a little more straight, and then he fixed it. With any surgeries, like I said, if you're feeling a certain way, then you should definitely look into getting something that will make you more confident. And this was one surgery for me that I will never regret. Now, I would say your nose completely is done healing after a year. When he was passing me the mirror to be like, I want you to look at your nose, but I don't want you to freak because it's swollen and it's gonna go down. I was freaking out, like you wouldn't believe. I was freaking out. And when he passed me the mirror, I literally couldn't even look. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I looked at it and I freaked a bit. I was like, oh my God, my nose is so big. And he's like, it's completely normal. Every day that goes by, it's gonna get smaller and smaller. Give yourself at least 3 months, and after 3 months, you're gonna see 90% of the results. And the last 10% is normally like the tip of the nose. There's a lot of skin, so it takes a lot longer. But over here, just after 3 months, you're gonna be super happy. And after 2 weeks, your bruisings and everything is gonna go away, and you're already gonna be like happy. After 2 weeks, I was already not. Looking back now, I wouldn't say I would have been happy with my nose, but because of what it was before, I was already happy after 2 weeks. I was putting on makeup. I was like trying to see how it would look. I was already going out with friends, and looking back at those pictures, I'm like, oh my God, who let me leave like that? Like, I was so unhappy with my nose that I was so happy with it 2 weeks in. And looking back, it was still so swollen, but I was so happy. So as time went by and I was like 3 months went by, I was like, oh my God, every day I felt like it was getting smaller and thinner and nicer and more feminine. And then even after 3 months, the bulge in my nose was still a bit swollen, but I was already super happy with the results. And then after a year, I would say like I really saw the results. And after the healing happened, I noticed that I had like two, I still have it a bit, but I don't know if you could see it. I have like two, it's like cartilage. It's like I had a lot of cartilage on my nose, but he had told me when he was doing the surgery, he didn't want to remove too much. So he was a very cautious doctor, and that if it started to stick out, it was like literally two horns on the side of my nose, that he would go back and do another surgery and just fix that and remove it. So after I had kind of done the whole surgery and I liked my nose, there was two horns, and my mom was like, you see, like you fix something and then something else happens. And I was like, Mom, like even if these horns stay, I'm already way happier with the results than not doing a nose job. So I had went to see him, and he was like, we can undergo another surgery and it won't be invasive at all. You'll be good to go. You're not going to be bruised like the last time. I'm just going to remove a little more cartilage and you'll be good to go. And that's what we did. So I had done 2 surgeries, and I feel like a lot of people are like, well, a good doctor is going to get it for you on your first shot. And like, that's just not reality of it, you know? I'd rather a doctor be like way more cautious than go to the extreme and then we can't work backwards. You know, I'd rather less done, and then if we can go back and just fix it a little more, then we'll do that. But I like that he waited to see how my nose would adjust. And that's another thing, you know, people will be like, he fucked up on my nose, he did a bad job, you know, and that definitely happens. And there's definitely doctors I've heard of that I would never go see. But I do believe that every nose heals differently, and you have to understand that to a certain point, sometimes it's not a doctor. So yeah, you're taking a little bit of a risk when you're getting a nose job, because your nose could heal differently. And I know like my friend, he had really like a lot of thick skin here, and he stayed like really wide for a long time, and that's also a possibility, you know. So there are little factors to consider, but I think when you really want something and you're happy with whatever results you get, then you're gonna be satisfied. So yeah, nose job was like the first thing I had done, and then after a year we had went back in, and that was like not even a week process. I was back to normal, and I was way happier, and I was so grateful that I went in the second time to just remove a little more cartilage. Because realistically, I didn't get the exact nose I wanted, but I think I also know that there's only so much my nose could have gotten to, if that makes sense. Like, I do know that like I didn't have like the best nose, so I can't expect the best results, right? Like, I think though that when I look back at what I had, that I'm super grateful, and I'm really, really happy I did this surgery, and I really recommend to anybody who is feeling super self-conscious about either their profile. And that was another thing, I'd go on dates and I'd be in a car with a guy and I literally turn my whole face to them. They're like, okay, why are you being a psychopath? Like, look ahead. And it was just like my insecurity with my profile. So, and I remember at the time my friends were like, well, you don't have a bad nose, like I have a bad nose, like I need one, you don't. And guys, don't listen to what anyone says. If it's something that bothers you, then it's for yourself. And I think when you do something for yourself, it's completely a different ball game. And that's what I did. I did it for myself and I was super happy. Now my friends look back and they're like, oh, okay, I look at your pictures and I could see why you wanted it. Do your research, go see many doctors on the kind of app they use, like a Photoshop, of how like it would look. And I remember seeing that picture and I wasn't 100%. I was like, it kind of looks weird. And the doctor was like, look, I can't do you like exactly what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a lot flatter, your profile from the side. And I asked for a little bit of a slope and I feel like they gave it to me a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm Italian and I'm super happy and proud to be Italian, but I just felt like I had too much bulb and it was taking over my face features. And I feel like now my face sits better now that my nose is fixed. So yeah. Another thing I'll say is that it's normal to feel like both sides of your profile are completely different, okay? So like I do feel like this is my better profile side and that I don't love this side as much, and that's completely normal. We always have one side of the face we like better. We always like one angle better, and that's normally like the angle I take my pictures on. And yeah, I really contemplated doing this video because I was like, I'm not actually showing you guys the whole process of like when I got it done. Like I have pictures and all, but are people really gonna care? Because normally a lot of people do like the whole procedure of like when they get it done, their face, and like they'll show you the progress as they go. And I can't do that because I've done it a little bit ago. So but I'm super happy I did it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I will be there to answer you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @AletDeandra and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys a million, and I can't even tell you that just starting this YouTube channel and just the people that I make subscribing and showing love, it means the world. So I love you guys, and I will see you next week.